with Pastor Simba, who's currently in studio. Sabona Pastor Simba, unjani?
Ngiyaphila wena mayini unjani?
Mina ngiphilile ngihlala ngiphilile shem. Hey, okwanamuhla kunzima. Unzima. So today we're discussing the pros and cons of spousal spying, phone hacking, car tracking, private investigators, and surveillance.
You know, married people would want to think it is not happening. It's actually happening in their marriages. This is actually popular as I'm speaking now in my marriages.
Pastor Simba,
it's all intelligence, it's all God, why it was say and all that. It's happening.
Pastor Simba, after God fear marriage. After God fear marriage. If this is what's happening, I'm scared.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't have my stats. But to tell you the truth, even me, there was a time when I actually snooped on my wife's phone.
I was about to ask. I'm so glad. Pastor Simba, and I found nothing, just a flirting here and there, but there was nothing, but I was still hurt. I still hurt myself.
That you found nothing?
That I found nothing. But yeah.
Yeah, but you know what, Zah? It's actually one of the most difficult questions to marriage practitioner like me. You could see, is it ethical or not? You remember we're looking at spousal spying, whether it's ethical or not, whether it's good or not. It's a very difficult question for me. I can't say yes, I can't say no. I refuse to take sides. But I would want us to actually consider both sides. Though personally, I discourage it, because I understand the consequences also that come with that. But I also get into the shoes of in what state would they be in? I'm sure at some point, my colleague Tendai Anapiri will also touch on this. I will talk to her so that she can also explain, what happens, in what mental state for them to start spying on their spouse, start hacking their phones, start getting into their emails, investigating, hiring, private investigators. You didn't get a private investigator, I'm telling you. Do you know in my cases?
Pastor Simba,
yeah?
I fear to tell you this because I am writing out my sister's car. Women are walking, talking private investigators. Our whole personalities. Because Lewa,
No, Lewa is actually a representation of a lot of women out there.
Exactly.
It's not like big guy or something like that. But most women, they've got sharp instincts. They know when something is not in place, or someone, their person seeing someone, they've got to assistance. And
once we know, we play dumb. We play dumb to get more information.
Exactly. And also sometimes it's not just women that then cause this discovery, and all that. In most cases, I see God.
Yeah.
Because remember, when you're married, there are three parts to a marriage. There are three entities. There's the husband, the wife, and then there's God. You are having an affair, and you can do all you can to cover up for that affair. And I've seen a lot of people going to the extent to cover up an affair. But at the end of it, it will still come out. Why? Besides my instinct, number two is just God's work. It's the Lord's doing. It's the work of God. But God uses phones. God uses some people. To hide out, there are these places that they call hideouts. You like, I'm in the middle of nowhere. But surprise, there will be someone there. This is the doing of the Lord. Because God is a jealous God.
Yeah.
So if he's part of that covenant, because the covenant has three parts: God, you, and your spouse. God is also jealous. He doesn't want you, tampering with the covenant that is involved in. Saka unotozongobatwa shit. And I think that's a story for another day. It's a story for another day. But, then we have people getting into spying because they're eager to understand what is happening, Mwangu, Chichi, and all that. So let me define what spousal spying is. Tabatanya tuetichi spousal spying. Yes, and spying imo ngange chitwa maybe na intelligence or whatever. But kuna the spousal spying where you're actually spying on your It could be your boyfriend, your husband, your wife, your girlfriend. That's actually happening now. So the definition is very simple. So spousal spying happens when someone secretly monitors their partner's activities. It's just that simple. You are secretly monitoring them. Kuti arikuenda kupi? Anani arikuitei, arikuitwei, at what particular time? You are tracking them, whether on Google and all those things. That's spousal spying. Do you know there are people that can actually get to the extent of installing spyware on my phones, using GPS trackers, using cameras, physical stalking chaichai. Kuti asaina munhu anoteera munhu kuti shamanda kuti uteere munhu ngori kufudza mombe. But hanza vacho havafudzike futi. Unenge urikufudza masvosve. Unogona kuasaina munhu kuti ndinoda kuti uteere munhu wangu, but they can still do their thing.
Yeah.
That's why I'm of the view that spying might not work because it's not 100% guaranteed that you get the desired results. For instance, do you know, in some spaces we call it digital spying because a lot of it is happening digitally. But my phone, tingoita spy on each other using the digital space. So it is not 100% correct because really digital, we can't trust anything that's digital 100% without trust. I mean, I'm sure you've tried going up even AI and you just type who's Zanani.
It will still give you an answer.
It will give you an answer, but the answer I won't believe it.
Exactly.
So you can't trust some of these things. So it's important for you to really look out for other ways of dealing with infidelity, affairs, lack of trust, instead of going the route you could trust technology to that extent. There are instances where even a GPS tracker will also say there are instances like that. So
true.
you can't then rely on that totally and say, I'm relying on this, and based on the information that I'm going to get from here, I'm going to make a decision, a life-impacting decision. That's why I discourage it somehow. Though, a part of me also understands why some people go to that extreme. Because vanenge varwadziswa vari kunyeperwa vari kuitwa sei. That's the reason why we actually need to make sure that we do things correctly so that we don't encourage the other partner could enter into that spousal spying. So why then do people get into that space where they are spying on each other? Number one, they are looking for closure. They are saying, you know what, I know in part, I don't know everything that happened in that affair or that they are doing now in the affair that my partner is in, my spouse is in. So they will look for closure by spying on their person. So if you are like me and you don't want to be spied on, and I know a lot of people don't want to be spied on, please usatambe magame haya. Ukangutamba magame haya, it's like you're encouraging your spouse to actually be, out there spying on you.
Yeah.
So if you don't agree, ninja spying, if you don't want it, please don't play in that space. Because if you do that, you may actually encourage your partner to spy on you. So they are looking for closure. And there are some people that believe that spying on your spouse is therapeutic. Kungobata phone yake soza ungonzwa ndikangobata phone yanzozvibho ndikaibata ndobva ndaita zviright. Because in my mind I've cleared everything, but you know what, hapana chiri kuitika. So it can be therapeutic for some people. Then there are some that do it because of what we term fear of cheating. I did mention this last week, fear of cheating. Apana cheating iruitika, apana affair ripo, but something in you just says kuti umwako they're cheating on you. Because you've got that fear, you're going to be nosy, looking into spaces, certain spaces, looking for evidence that's not there, and you're actually chasing chinchisipo.
Yeah.
And it's so frustrating at the end of the day. That's why I discourage spying, because kokana ukashaya do you think that relationship will remain the same? Ndautanga kufunga kuti Azar didn't trust me, she went as far as hiring a private investigator, yet I was not doing anything. And the pampachi to actually encourage the person who's being spied on to say, now
I'm going to do it.
I'm going to do it. Kana zawa chasingani trust. Why not? Let me do what they're expecting from me. So I don't encourage it. Then there's also, do you know, by fear of cheating in Papoza, I always tell people that marriage requires that we engage our faith more than we engage fear. In marriage, faith is an important ingredient. Because there are some people that are not enjoying their marriage right now because they are always thinking with kokana munhu wanga akachita. There are some people that are not married now that have remained single because of the fear of being cheated on.
You know?
Kuti kokana munhu akazochita ndozozviendela sei. There are people like that, sir. So fear of cheating, please replace that with faith. Ingozvibvunza kuti kokana munhu wangu akazvibata akasaita zvese izvozvo. Why are you always thinking negatively about that person? Kokana vasiri that kind of a person. So you must also leave that room for faith. Then fourthly, there are people that spy on their spouses because of control issues. Kuna vanhu vangoda kungocontrola.
Yeah.
Even nepasina need yokucontrola. Kuna munhu akasvika panapa zao anda kufila kuti ndiboss. Ada kungocontrola kujambisa vanhu and all those. There's no need. There are times where we should just relax like brothers, like sisters, and hapana ari controller umwe. But because there are people that love control so much, they love power, and they go to the extent of even, spying on their spouses. And by the way, these people are narcissistic. They are narcissists, and they do that a lot. We got some narcissists. They're very controlling to the extent of putting spyware in a phone or spying on their spouses. Then number 5, there's also lack of trust. That's one thing that then pushes someone into spousal spying. A personal trust. They are insecure. They want to protect their space. They want to protect probably the business empire that they've been building over the years. So they will go to that extent. Panapa pasina chokumirira. Ndikapusa panapa mwangu achaenda ne the affair partner. And because of that, they will employ all tactics of spying and all that. But, there's always a solution other than that. Like I'm saying, I don't encourage spying. The solution is sitting down and making a review of your trust bank, what I call trust bank. I don't trust you. After what happened, I don't trust you. Then we discuss, okay, how then do we build the trust back? What do you think I must do? It's important that we do that.
Yeah.
But how do we then build that trust back? Because spying, it's a no-go area for me, especially if you are going to consider even the legal implications.
That's true.
I'm going to speak to my colleague, Advocate Nyari. Advocate, please, can you address this even on radio? What are the legal implications if I find out that my spouse is spying on me? Juneta say, is the evidence admissible in the courts of law? I think we need to hear that. Please take note of that. Monikumbira Advocate Nyari to address that. So I discourage spousal spying. Then obviously there's anxiety. People are just anxious, and they then get into that space where they are spying on their spouses as a way of dealing with their anxiety. They're anxious, paranoia, and all that. And I've noted that probably a mental health issue kind of a thing. They now have what is called OCD or PISD, post-infidelity stress disorder, or PTSD, things like that. That's the reason why you then need to go and get help from professional people. And I hope, like I'm saying, our colleagues, Panapa Star FM, we are so blessed there. We get a bit of that from that one, a bit of that from this one, and I'm hoping that my colleague Tendai Anapiri will also tackle that and teach us, in what state could aspire on each other.
Yeah.
What anxiety does to our mental health and all that, because we also need to protect our mental health. So I definitely discourage spying, and I'm going to give you solutions, what we must do in place of spousal spying.
Oh, please do. Especially for the lady next to you. She's in need.
Yeah. What I would want you to know, Lewe, is that marriage is anchored on the principle of openness. So for starters, we need to be committed to openness as a couple. We need to be committed. Even while you are dating, please vunzanai mvunzo cheche. Koto kuvunzana mvunzo nando. Mvunzo nando no vunzo pa star FM pa 326 pa 3 to 600. But when it comes to real issues, zekutane relationship yamakupinda, please ask my questions chachayo. You can go historical, go into his past, into her past. Ask anything. We always say this: when you're dating, collect data. That's where dating is from. So you actually opening up, you are being vulnerable to each other. And it's Zvakakoshera if we are going to avoid the route spying. There will be no need for me to spy on my wife. And I believe with there's no need for me to to worry that my wife is going to assign someone who's going to be foodzaring me.
Yeah.
There's no need for that, because
Yes,
I've opened up historically, I've opened up financially, I've opened up in all areas where I need to open up. This was actually the biggest problem, the biggest challenge with the first marriage, Adam and Eve. The moment they sinned, they started realizing that, we are naked.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ndovatanga kutsvaga zvokuvhara chichi mamashizha and all that. That's exactly what happens when something is happening in a relationship. You then begin to see people spying on each other. It's an indicator. Spying on each other, it's an indicator that things are not good, things are not normal. So you must actually outsource for help, seek for counseling. And I'm not a pastor wako, and I'm not a tete mogara pasi kuti things are not okay. Because in me, I'm feeling the urge to want to find out kuti mwangu ari kumbosipenda time kupi. Nani achitwe, all those things. So there's always that need. So what then must you do? Number one, there must be openness. Ndamboitaura iyo openness right from dating chaichaio. Vamwe vedu tinovharwa nezvinhu zvakawanda zvekutotadza kubvunza. Uri kuvharwa nemota, uri kuvharwa nefoni nemunhu wautadza kubvunza zvimwe zvinhu kuti ko nayo shamari foni wakaiwana sei, unoita basa rechi to deserve that phone. And kazhinji kacho I admit, people date blindly and they can't see all these things. That's the reason why you need friends around you. We are not saying that these friends are being assigned to become, private investigators, but they can just observe. Vari kumaterrace kungoti za mfeso wako warumanya naye, I think anenge ari married to. Ndaona chiguno chake fingering yake ine katani so kuratidza kuti ari married. Ndaona shopping basket yake mune zvinenge lunch pack yemwana kuchikoro mangwana. Polonia haise murume mukuru. Kana kadrink aka kari kutengwa kadrink kari musacheti aka akasike munhu mukuru. Uyu mfesi ndewe madrinks. Akakadrink akaka ndeke mwana kuchikoro mangwana. So your friends will be able to tell you all these things. That's why you need to surround yourself with good friends. And if they're good friends, they'll point out to you, kuti shamari, be careful, that person is not what they are claiming to be.
Yeah.
So openness is very key. And then please let's practice what we call leave taking. Remember, all this that I'm telling you, this will not discourage someone from engaging into spousal spying. So to avoid spousal spying, openness, number one. Number two, practice what we call leave taking. It's a culture. Udza mumwe wako kuti ndikubva panapa ndikuenda kwakati, ndikabva kwakati ndozoenda kwakati. And it, because if you don't do that, they'll be tempted to now start wanting to track you, to put a tracker in your car, wanting to know to unenge uri kupi and all those things. Open up kuti ndikuenda pakati ndinenge ndina nani. Kwete ngonzi munhu aenda arudzoka nguva aenda kupi hapana ari kuziva. Uri magetsi here anonzi aenda and haazikana kuti arudzoka nguva haazikana kuti aenda kupi. Magetsi chete ndo atoziva kuti anonzi aenda and hatizivi kuti aenda kupi and hatizivi kuti anodzoka nguvai. And there are people that are behaving like magetsi. Please announce your program, because I'm worried kuti what if something happens to you? You're not back by 9 p.m. You said you'll be back by 9 p.m. and it's now 10 p.m. What if something happens? Ndikakurumidza kutaura mapurisa, maybe will salvage matters. Saka, it's important for you to be that open and to practice what we call leave taking and volunteer this information. Hakuna kumira kubvunzwa kunzi uri kuenda kupi dhera kurakata, just volunteer. Wasvika kwawasvika ikoko, it's still okay to just send a live location and say, I'm here baby, I'm seeing this and that. And in a way you are reporting your whereabouts. And you're encouraging the other part not to seek or to go the route you're spying. There's also transparency. Be transparent. This is a big one. Kuva are married. Please be transparent to each other. Be transparent in as far as time is concerned. Be transparent as how you spend your time. Be transparent as far as your whereabouts are concerned. Urukupi. Be transparent as far as your money transactions. If you are not transparent in that area, you may deserve to be spied on. I'm sorry. Though I don't believe in spying, but because you are covering up a lot of things, you are actually encouraging your person to dig deeper and to look for certain things. And they may do that and find things that don't even exist, and that will actually strain the relationship. So it is important that you do that. Then there is also what we call, this you must avoid, right? What we call truth trickling. Particularly if you're trying to recover from infidelity. Chinonzi truth trickling chi. Kusataura chokwadi chese ka one. Kuti nhasi ukataura wangopa kastanza one chete kechokwadi. Then the person then discovers something and then you release information uchingodaro. You need to sit down, have what we call truth sessions and discuss zvese. Taura chokwadi chese zvachiri nokuzara kwacho. Because my Bible tells me that the truth will set you free. And you deserve to be set free. Well, for today, Ngadwomira Panabaza, my parting shot is remember to love God, love His people, and love relationships. If you're going to follow me on Facebook, Instagram, just look for Married by Simba or Pastor Simba Woloza with a W, Pastor Simba Woloza, or you can come through to my WhatsApp 0773 000 000. I need your name and your marital status. Usanyanya kuti hai kana ubvunza chii zvimwe ingonipa zita nemarital status yako, then we start our conversations from there. And I'll add you to a respective group. If you're married, you receive messages on Mondays. If you are single, you receive messages on Saturdays. The number again, 0773 000 000. Pastor Simba, I'm out.
Thank you so much, Pastor Simba. It's been so much fun with you on the Morning Galaxy. Siyahlangana futhi kusasa, same time, same place. From me to you, it's Onavwa Dazvadanya to taking yani, however else you say goodbye in your language. Be on standby for the TXO, but right now it's 12 o'clock and it's time for the news.
T 0